Jewel?
Hello, it's me.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm here. It's exciting to be on a Friday and end the week. We're gonna have a good, nice Friday show to top off the week.
Absolutely, it's going to be great.
I'm gonna call up the pastor. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, do we have anyone on?
We do. We have Reverend Williams on.
Okay, how you doing?
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I
I'm
am.
hanging in there. How are you?
I am doing well, girl. I am not going to complain. How
I
about that?
understand.
Okay. And that is that. So let me just give you one hot second. Okay. So I'm trying to change a password very quickly. And
Okay, we have 3 minutes. Are
okay.
you up on Facebook yet?
I am.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Reverend Williams, if you could say a few words for me for the sound check.
Oh, Reverend Williams?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you speak so that she can hear you on the sound check?
Sure. A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S E B W X Y and Z. I have you loud and clear. We're good to go. Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
We have about 40 seconds. You have about 10 seconds. Stand by.
Okay, thank you. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. Hope you're having a great Friday already. That's right. We're here, we're here, we're here. It is Friday, February 10th, 2023. I'm Santita Jackson. It's a joy to be with you today. Got a lot to talk about. Our special guest today is Congressman Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna was to have been here a couple of weeks ago, but he had some a personal emergency. We're so glad that everybody is doing well in his family, and we're so glad that we'll be able to hear from him today as he tells us about how he's going to work with this new Congress that is just split really in two. It's just cleaved, everybody. And will he run for the Senate? Will he run for the presidency? Will he run for both? Dianne Feinstein's seat is about to be up for grabs in the state of California. And did you hear about what happened down in Memphis with the officers involved and those involved in the Tyree Nichols case? Well, it turns out we heard a couple of weeks ago that there were some texts that were sent of essentially a dying Tyree Nichols. It was denied. No one would do that. Well, actually, it did happen. So we're going to be talking about that. What does that mean? What does it mean that this officer not only took a picture of this man as he lay dying, he sent it to several other people? And then, of course, Bryce Green has written a wonderful piece about the Ukraine. And in fact, that is what we've heard from Seymour Hersh, one of the most esteemed journalists in all of journalism. It seems that the United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. What does that mean? Is that an act of war? Let's talk about that on the Santita Jackson Show. Hey, everybody. In Chicago, it's going to be 39 degrees, partly cloudy. In Minneapolis, St. Paul, 29 degrees. It will be sunny. Congrats are in order. Patrick Mahomes is the league MVP. And guess who the second runner-up is? That's right, Jalen Hurts. I just saw a wonderful piece on CNN that highlighted the role that their fathers played in their lives. You know, oftentimes we hear, particularly of these Black athletes who have had these fathers who have not been there. They're from these homes that they've been matriarched, if you will. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great thing. But there are a lot of active Black fathers. In fact, according to the CDC, from birth to the age of 5, the most active father in the United States of America is the Black father. That study was done in 2014 and 2015. You never hear about that. But both of these men give their fathers the credit for making them the men that they are. And I love that. I love that. It's wonderful to hear. And it's wonderful to see the fruit of their fathers' labors, everybody. So congratulations to them. And who you got in the Super Bowl? I don't think we can lose. Kansas City, Philly. I'm so excited to see these young men playing in this Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. I'm just going to have a good time. It's a long time coming to have 2 Black quarterbacks playing in this Super Bowl. It's just a wonderful thing. I think of Joe Gilliam. I think of Ed Harris. I think of so many brilliant Black quarterbacks who were relegated to other positions, to running back, to these offensive positions because the white coaches and the owners did not want to put them in positions of leadership because the leader on the team is the quarterback. And so now you see these men leading the way, leading brilliantly, and leading with Black daddies. I'm not putting down the mamas, but goodness gracious, the child didn't get here by themselves. You know, mamas are not amoeba who split and have children. You've got to have a father. And I'm so glad to see this day come. Everybody in the NBA, the Nets 116, the Bulls 105, and the Timberwolves will be playing the Grizzlies tonight. In the NHL, the Golden Knights 5, the Wild 1, and the Coyotes will be playing Chicago tonight. Who you got, everybody? Well, there's a lot going on in this world. Let's go to Ukraine. Air raid sirens sounded across Ukraine this morning as officials warned of potentially widespread Russian missile attacks. The death toll in Turkey and Syria following the magnitude 7.8 earthquake is now over 21,000 people, with thousands more missing. Oh, it is now one of the top 10 deadliest quakes in the world over the past 20 years. Praying for all of the people of Turkey and Syria today. Former Vice President Mike Pence has been subpoenaed by the special counsel investigating Donald Trump and his role in the January 6, 2021 raid, or some people will call it insurrection, on the Capitol, according to a source from CNN. Specifically, the special counsel's office wants Pence to testify about his interactions with then President Trump leading up to the 2020 election and his interactions with the president, the then president, on the day of the insurrection. The CDC has added COVID-19 shots to the list of recommended routine vaccines for kids and adults. Quote, according to the author of the report from CNN, this means COVID-19 is now presented as any other routinely recommended vaccine is no longer presented in a special call out box as in previous years. And I have to ask Dr. Shanita Knighton about that. What is the difference between recommended and required, everybody? And for those people who refuse to get the vaccine and lost their jobs, will they be able to get their jobs back? Just a few questions that I have on the Santita Jackson Show. In the meantime, we've got the author of I See You, Sis, The Anointed, someone we wait for all week long to hear. Pastor Tisha Dixon Williams from the First Baptist Church in Bridgehampton, New York. It is a joy to be with you today, Pastor Tisha Dixon Williams, as I welcome, of course, all of my listeners at WCPT, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station at AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, and everybody, all my morning stars on the Santita Jackson and Friends Facebook page and the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Pastor Tisha Dixon Williams, it is great hearing your voice, being with you, and getting good news from you today.
The honor and the joy is mine. Good morning, everyone. Certainly, good morning, Santita. Always a joy to be with you all. So today, with everything going on in our lives and in our world, I know sometimes we can get frustrated, more specifically, spiritually frustrated. We wonder sometimes that if prayer is the answer, how come prayer doesn't produce results of miracles as quickly as we expect them to? I know a lot of times we wonder, are our prayers fruitful? Are our prayers falling on deaf ears? Simply because we don't see results right away and we don't hear an answer right away. I want to encourage somebody today to continue to press in their prayer life. You have been requesting, you have been beseeching, you have been asking for God, a higher power, to incline their ears to hear your prayers. I want you to know that your prayers today are not for naught. Your prayers will be answered, even if they're not answered in a way that you expect. I always want you to be encouraged that your plan may not always be the best plan. But when I think about prayer, I think about apple picking. Right, apple picking. Seems strange, but true. I live in a very rural area where in the fall season, everything is available to be picked, whether it's a pumpkin, a peach, a plum, a pear, a strawberry, a blueberry, and even apples. And so what I've learned about apple picking is that we can equate apple picking with prayer. Consider this. If you've ever gone apple picking, then you know that there are times when apples are just ripe for the picking. As a matter of fact, they're so ripe, you don't even have to pick them. Or rather, you don't pick them from the tree, but you can pick them up from the ground and fill your basket to the tilt because the apples are just there for your taking. But then there are other times when you actually have to pick the apple from the tree. But sometimes the most beautiful apple is right there, right within your reach. You don't have to exert yourself. You don't have to stretch. You just open your hand, and it seems like the minute you touch it, it falls off the branch and into your basket it goes. For Santita and family, every once in a while, there's that one apple, that one elusive apple. You've had your eye on it from the time you came into the orchard. It just seems to be perfectly shaped. It seems to be glossy, and it looks delicious. It has a little leaf attached to it. Everything about this apple is appealing, and you decided you want that apple. But the apple is really outside of your reach. And so what do? You begin to shake the tree and shake the tree so feverishly that you're determined that apple is going to come down and you'll be able to put it in your basket. That's a lot like prayer. Every once in a while we'll pray, and it seems like the minute we pray the prayer, before we can even say amen, before we can finish the request, it's right there at our feet, ready for us to grab it, enjoy it, and take it. But and every once in a while, there's something that's a little bit further out of your reach. But it's easy enough. You've asked for it. May not happen immediately, but it happens. It comes to pass eventually. But then every once in a while, there's a prayer you have to pray that takes a little more shaking of the tree. But every once in a while, there's a prayer that maybe you have to be more diligent about, maybe more consistent about, and you got to shake, 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 and be fervent in your prayer life for it to drop in your hand. So I want to tell somebody today, whether it's ripe for the picking, whether it's falling off the tree, or whether it seems like it's beyond your reach, just keep praying and keep pressing. Eventually, it'll come to pass and your basket will run over. And that's the good news.
Amen. Amen. I mean, so low-hanging fruit, where does that fit in?
Low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit.
That's the apple. That's the fruit that you can just touch and it just seems to fall in your hand. That's the one that's right there. You have to exert very little effort. But here's what I love about low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit is usually the sweetest fruit. It's the one that's just about to drop, but it's hanging on. I find that while people may shun low-hanging fruit is always usually the sweetest fruit. And so people, I know, they reach for the stars and they exert so much energy for something, but low-hanging fruit still works.
I love it. I love it. I love it. How can we worship with you on Sundays?
You can worship with us on Sunday, First Baptist Church of Bridgehampton on YouTube every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'd love to have you.
Oh, amen to that. And how can we get your book? I See You, Sis.
Head over to Amazon and just type in, do a search for I See You, Sis, Inspirations from Heroic Women of the Bible Hidden in Plain Sight. And it will be like that low-hanging fruit available to you with one touch. Button.
Hang in there for a hot second. I just got this, and I try to respond to everybody when I can. I can't respond to everybody individually because it's just a lot to do during the show because the show is produced by me, and so I'm keeping up with the clock, doing this, doing that, doing that. But it's very interesting. Thomas Grasser said something, and I want to respond to it because I think that we need to. You said Mahomes is biracial, not black. Get your facts straight. His mom is white as snow. I'm descended from a long line of so-called biracial people. In fact, I was raised in large measure by relatives who appeared to be white, and they were called the inward lover when they'd walk down the street with me and my siblings. And my father was taken to the University of Illinois by his Aunt Claire, who was a natural redhead, and his Aunt Addie, who was a platinum blonde, blue eyes. They had a white father, and then before them, a white father, and then before them, a white father, and on and on. That's not unusual. That is really part of Black America. What's unusual about my great aunts is that my great grandfather was married to my great grandmother. My great grandfather was married to my great grandmother when it was illegal to do so. Black people have always had to make the choice to be. We've never had the choice, shall I say, to be anything other than black when you have a drop of black blood. What arouses the curiosity of America now is not when you have indigenous blood, not when you are part Hispanic, because everybody in America can become white but black people. Mr. Mahomes can have a white mother all day long. He will always be considered a black quarterback. That is how he is introduced, and that is what people are saying beyond his magnificent skills is significant about him and this Super Bowl on Sunday, that he is a black quarterback and Jalen Hurts is a black quarterback. I just think it's tragic that many, many people will only acknowledge him or embrace him because he has a white parent. I have a friend who said, I was treated one way in school, but when they found out my mother was white, they started being nicer to me, even though he presented black. So no, I don't buy into this whole biracial notion. Everybody has white parents. About 5 of my nieces and nephews have a white mother. And I embrace that. But they are very clear that when they walk down the street, they are black boys. My niece is a black girl, and that is it. And that's how I stand on it. So you can have your opinions if you want to, but the one drop rule still applies. Ask the young man who was killed just outside of Minneapolis, St. Paul. He presented as a black man, and while he was talking to his white mother, the white police officer shot him and killed him. So there we have that. So just had to say that. I just keep it 100. Pastor and Dr. Shanina Knighton. You all don't have to get in that. That is where I am. But Dr. Knighton, I want to ask you something. Yeah, no. You know me. I go right there. And I hear you, Mr. Grasser, and I say that with all love and respect. But I'm just telling you how we read this on this side of the street. And if you present as a black person, you are a black person. The only people who can't pass, who are not allowed to cross the color line are black people. Everybody can be you can be a white Hispanic, you can be white anything, but you can't be white and black at the same time. You got to make a choice. And those black people who make a choice to pass right on out of black America. And then they find out today when they do 23andMe that they have black four parents because their parents passed and had to leave their whole families behind. That's real. And that is the price that America makes black people pay for having black blood, not indigenous blood, not any other blood, but black blood. That seems to be the problem. It's not a problem for me. I'm not tragically black. I'm triumphantly black. Now feed on that. Now I have a question for you, Dr. Knighton. As we are going into May 11th, where the COVID-19 emergency is ending, now COVID-19 vaccines are being added to the list of recommended vaccines, not required, recommended. That seems like that's quite a change in the approach to COVID. What are we to do with that as we're seeking to be healthy and prevent infection? Are we now just looking at COVID as just another routine infection?
So the thing is, good morning. An issue is when we talk about vaccines just within themselves, we know, of course, like we just entered into this pandemic about 2020. And so naturally with, honestly, like the vaccine still undergoing testing, also too, I would say, information about what is the best approach in order to vaccinate people, meaning we know that variants have been moving targets, right? And we know that things have been changing. And so we've been behind the 8 ball for some time. And so now that they are starting to understand more about COVID, how do you then start to provide vaccinations for potentially what may be predicted? And how do we know what's predicted? We're looking at trends just as we did, when things came from Wuhan, when we know that Australia may have had it. We're able to look at the kind of strains that they have over there and be able to predict that potentially these strains may be what is coming to here. Similarly to what we do for food every year when we anticipate how we should vaccinate. So I believe that recommended is simply because we understand that everything is still in testing and things are still in the process of being figured out. Yes, while data does show that vaccines have been effective, or the COVID-19 vaccine has been effective in reducing symptoms, it is also very challenging to still ignore some of the challenges of the vaccine with certain populations, which also has not been kind of flushed. It hasn't been flushed out. So I can see why the recommended is there opposed to required, because there's still so much work that needs to be done in this area.
No, that's important. I mean, if someone is going, I've got less than a minute. Well, you know what? Next week, I think we should talk about talk about that more extensively. Um, because I think that's really important. But there are some workplaces that still require it, while the government is saying no, it's recommended. It's we have these uneven approaches to all of this. But Dr. Shanina Knight and everybody, hey Dr. Nina, go on, follow her in social media. You're gonna get some great information. I know I have. And Pastor Tisha Dixon Williams, I see you, sis. Go on and get that book. Let it bless you. Let's talk with Bryce Green from Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting about the findings that he and Seymour Hersh, one of the most esteemed journalists in all of journalism, it has now been admitted that the United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. What's up with that? Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a minute. Dr. Nina.
Hey, Santita.
Honey, I'm sorry I ate up your time today, but when I saw that, something in me just popped. Ooh, it didn't pop. I just felt that I needed to say that. I mean, these are discussions I can say this that I used to have with President Obama when he was considering running for the state Senate. And I remember sharing with his wife, I said, he's going to have to be black if he's going to get black support. You're not going to come to black people and be biracial and be part this, part that. Whenever folks start doing that, we start going, are you serious right now? No, because we know what the rules are. And we know that the real problem appears to be black blood. And that is something that bothers me. We're the only people who cannot pass into whiteness. We're the only ones. Everybody else can become white in a generation or two. And I don't want to be white. Okay, I don't. I like what I am. I'm not a tragedy. I'm a triumph. I'm descendant of survivors. That's why black people need to change their language about slavery and stop being victims of it and start being survivors of it. Jews got it right. When they came out of the Holocaust, and they are triumphant. They're like, no, we survived this. We want to be darn tootin' we survived this. Being raped, and having lynchings occur on your front porch. They would hang our relatives at the front door and dare us to take them down. Are you kidding me? No. Aside, thank you very much. Aside from the fact that Mr. Mahomes identifies as a black man. He sure does. He does. He's clear. He is absolutely clear. And so is his mother. So is my sister-in-law. She raises her children a particular way because she wants them to be protected. She better not send them out here as biracial. I've got a white parent. These folks will shoot you anyway. Ask Dante Wright. He was talking to his white mama when the white cop shot him and killed him. Okay, Dr. Shanina, you don't have to get in that, but it's true. It's like, don't play with me. Get out of here. Let's stop playing these games and stop making blackness a tragedy. Stop making blackness something that people need to avoid. When Mariah Carey first got out here, she presented white, although black folks looked at her and went, beyond the fact that, beyond the way she sang, you looked at her and you said, we can always suss out when someone's got black blood. Can we not, Dr. Knighton? You can. Now, if you don't want to cop to it, I'm not going to mess with you. I'll let you do your thing. We do that too. But come on, don't play with me. Let's not play. Let's stop playing this game, because we know that this whole biracial thing is about diminishing black numbers and upping other numbers. Stop. Better give that to somebody else. I'm from a long line of biracial people, and I've had lots of talks with them. And they would say, do not play with me about, I know what the color line means. And they would say it all the time. They're real clear on it. My Aunt Claire Dr. Knighton had two daughters, one who was blonde haired, blue eyed, who presented white. She didn't present white to me, but she was, my Aunt Linda. Okay. Actually, my cousin Linda, but I called Aunt Linda because she's my father's age. She's my father's cousin, first cousin. And then her sister Lydia, my Aunt Lydia. Aunt Lydia was a very fair-skinned Black woman who many people thought was a Spaniard, but they didn't think she was white.
Jackson,
Yeah.
we have about 5 seconds to go on.
Do we have
all the guests today?
Okay. One could acknowledge her mother publicly, the other couldn't. It's horrible. Ooh. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook, you got me caught on something. Ooh. But I'm all good, and we're all good. That having been said, I can't wait to see the Super Bowl on Sunday now. And Rihanna's going to perform for the first time in 7 years. That'll be, I know she's going to be great. All right, everybody, let us talk about Ukraine. Before we get over to Ukraine, as we talk with Bryce Green, he and Seymour Hersh, one of the most esteemed journalists in the world, are on the same page, as are many from all around the world. America, well, we're going to talk about the Nord Stream pipeline and who blew it up. Yeah. And the silence of the American press with respect to it. Got to talk about it. Call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. In the meantime, Chapearl from Celebrations by Us has a big event coming up in March, and she needs your support. She's going to be able to help send some children to college who otherwise would not be able to go. Chapearl, what's going on in March?
Yes, Santita, thank you so much. The Courtney Copeland Memorial Foundation is holding our annual gala fundraiser, and all the funds raised are basically helping all of our children go to college. We give scholarships away every August, right before school starts, and this helps raise money for that particular project. And basically with the Courtney Copeland Foundation, we are sending kids to school and who otherwise wouldn't be able to go. And like I was saying before, Santita, one of the things that I put this together because Courtney couldn't go because we couldn't afford it. And so now we're doing this in his honor to make sure that no child is left behind. So if everyone can give us a call at 708-628-7734 to purchase a ticket, or visit us at www.copelandmemorial.com, www.copelandmemorial.com. And if you can't personally attend, please consider supporting a family who has lost a child, and we're actually donating some of the tickets that we have received donations for to those families who cannot afford to go, but they're going to come out and have a nice time at the gala. So please support us at www.copelandmemorial.com. That's going to be on March 3rd, and that's at 7 p.m. at the JLM Community Center, 2622 West Jackson in Chicago. Thank you so much.
Real quick, are you taking any more orders for the Super Bowl?
No more orders for the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. We are completely full.
Well, I tried. I tried. But you know what? This is very important, everybody, getting these kids to school. So please. Are you going to have information on Celebrations by Us website about this?
Yes. But you can also go to www.copelandmemorial.com. And it's right there as soon as you go there.
Well, let them link them there through Celebrations by Us, since so many people know that. But, CopelandMemorial.com, everybody. All right, Chapearl, it's wonderful hearing your voice. Always happy Super Bowl. Everybody, let's talk about...
Rihanna.
Go Rihanna. Bless her heart, she hasn't performed in how many years? In 7 years. That's unbelievable. She and her umbrella. And now she's a mom. Bless her heart. And so I'm sure it's going to be a great Super Bowl. Let's just hope that they keep the satanic references out of the Super Bowl. Yeah, I go right there because I see a lot of stuff that makes me go, "Are you serious? What's the fire got to come out the ground for? What's that?" And all at the Grammy, somebody was wearing devil's horns. I'm like, what does this have to do with the music? Yeah, I'm right there, everybody. I think this is crazy. And I think there's a lot of wickedness out here, and we just need to call it out and stomp it out. Yes. So I want something nice and fresh and lovely. There you go. And what you should really know about Ukraine is a very important thing. But you know what you really should know about the Nord Stream pipeline? There are a lot of myths surrounding the blowing up the pipelines and protecting Nazis. And no one has been on top of this more than Bryce Green. You said Facebook is protecting Nazis. Now I'm going to tell you, when you want to talk about peace or really some very progressive ideas, you can get blocked from Facebook, from Meta, real quick, PDQ, in a hurry. But the Azov Battalion, I don't get it. They're Nazis. I'm like, aren't these the bad guys? But we're honoring them and all of that. Oh, you got to help me with this. What is Meta doing with respect to the Azov regiment and what happened with Nord Stream? I mean, because you see, I'll get to what, Seymour Hersh and all of that. But what is Meta doing? Because progressives get blocked and your algorithms get jammed up on Meta, on Facebook all the time. Bryce, what's up?
Well, thank you for having me on, Santita. One of the main things about this war that's not unique to this war, but has been ramped up to the extreme, is the degree to which narratives are being policed and controlled by especially the tech companies that govern a lot of the speech that we have in our society. And last month, Meta, Facebook's parent company, which also owns Instagram, they recently removed the Azov Battalion from their list of dangerous organizations. Now, the Azov Battalion, like you said, is a neo-Nazi. Even the New York Times, years ago, back when they were reporting honestly about these guys, they called them a neo-Nazi paramilitary. And this paramilitary has been officially adopted into the Ukrainian armed forces. And, a lot of those guys are at the forefront of the public relations campaigns. In fact, one of these guys was even hosted in Disney World by Jon Stewart, a liberal icon. And so what Facebook is doing is essentially relaxing restrictions, even more than they already have, on what is essentially a hate group that uses Nazi symbols, uses Nazi salutes. And what Facebook is doing is saying that since this organization is now part of the official Ukrainian military, they are distinct from the Azov movement, which is where they grew from. Well, what this actually does is just it normalizes a lot of the Nazi imagery that we're seeing promoted as part of the Azov Battalion. Now, I want to be clear, the entire Ukrainian army is not Nazis. The government is not Nazis. But the far right, and neo-Nazis especially, do have an outsized influence in the country. And if we're really going to be serious about what's going on in Ukraine, we have to confront the fact that far-right influence will spread around the world. I mean, there was even a movement of U.S. white supremacists who were going to go train with the Azov Battalion to take their skills back to the United States in the event of a civil war. So this is a very serious issue, and I don't think Meta made the correct decision here.
But I know I'm trying to figure out how the Azov Battalion, how the narrative changed, how they got cleaned up. You have different people who utter, who speak, who are clearly anti-Semitic, and you hear that is part of their narrative. But you have full-on Nazis, neo-Nazis, and we're not hearing anything about it anymore. I mean, in fact, they got the highest award from the Ukrainian government from President Zelensky. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how this works. I mean, it just seems quite selective. Or am I missing something?
You're not imagining anything. It's been that exact way. If you go back to before 2022, the U.S. press and the rest of the world press was reporting pretty clearly about the dangers of neo-Nazism in Ukraine. In fact, the U.S. Congress even recognized that this was a neo-Nazi battalion and actually added an addendum to the authorization for military force that would prevent any of the aid that we sent to Ukraine from going to the Azov battalion because they're Nazis. Now, officials on the ground later reported that there was no real way to enforce that and that this was mostly symbolic. But if the U.S. Congress is willing to admit that these guys are Nazis, what is stopping the Western press from saying the same thing now? And the reason they're not doing that, and there is a clear logic to it. Western audiences have to support the war in Ukraine. That seems to be the overriding goal of American media coverage about the war. Anything that portrays Ukraine in a negative light has to be denounced. And people even call the fact that Azov battalion are Nazis, they call that a conspiracy theory. Yeah. And they call that Putin propaganda. But this is very real. It's a very real fact. And the uniformity with which the media simply dropped this topic and simply gone along with the official line that everything's fine is pretty astounding. And it really ought to be discussed in detail because the narrative management of this war will come back to bite us in the butt sometime. When the reality becomes too harsh to deny, people are going to be trying to figure out what happened. Now, I made a joke post a little bit ago about how maybe in 10 years, The Atlantic will write an article about how U.S. policy in Ukraine had empowered neo-Nazis in Western Europe. And I suspect that something like that may happen in the future.
You know, it's very interesting. I mean, because we forget that during the Second World War, the United States and Russia were allied. And that the Russians lost tens of millions of people to the Nazis. So they have a vested interest in not seeing the Nazis reassert themselves, not seeing the Nazis grow. And so to call this Putin propaganda, I don't understand it. When their insignias, tell us what's special about their insignias, their signage and, the patches they wear.
Well, there are several symbols that they use and appropriate that are direct variations on Nazi symbols. The Wolf Angel, the official Azov logo, is it's about 80% of a swastika. It's almost there. And the black sun that they have, it was actually seen on the Buffalo Shooter's attire when he was shooting up a Jewish community. And it was also seen on the New Zealand Christchurch shooter who was wearing it on his backpack or his flak jacket when he went to go shoot up several mosques. This is, I think, 2019 or 2018. And even at the time, this was reported. Like, these are symbols that are commonly used by the Azov battalion. And so the neo-Nazi, or the Nazi imagery runs deep. Especially in this society where the neo-Nazis were supported, in fact, by the United States government in the wake of World War II. And so this is a very real problem that has a direct line to U.S. action. And if we're not able to confront that, then we risk a dangerous situation in the future.
Well, I mean, we're watching that because we're watching a rise in anti-Semitism in the United States. And these people who are perpetrating anti-Semitism in the United States are being influenced by the Azov Battalion and like-minded groups, not just individuals, groups. They're manifesting as individuals and as groups in the United States. This is very dangerous. But I don't hear them being denounced, Bryce. I mean, I just want to know where these organizations that routinely denounce anti-Semitism, and they should. Because there's a direct, if anyone is discriminated against, everyone is in danger. But they don't touch them. And I don't understand that. To me, it's a very dangerous thing. And as we watch the algorithms on Facebook, if you're a progressive, if you want to talk about peace, you can get blocked for a week or two. You get suspended. But if you want to praise people who we know are neo-Nazis or Nazis, you know, we let them go on and we enlarge them. And I just think I'm trying to figure out what it is that we're doing. What is the end game here as you see it? Or do you see an end in sight for this? You said it will end up biting us. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is that the U.S. and Russia have created a very tense situation in Ukraine, even before the war started, or even before the latest Russian invasion. For 8 years, that country was embroiled in a simmering civil war that killed, thousands of people. And this war has killed, the estimates vary, but tens and scores of thousands of people. And what the U.S. is doing is making the temperature rise by pouring in billions of dollars of weapon systems, artillery, armored vehicles, tracking equipment, and other military supplies. And it was reported earlier last year that, there is no solid 100% mechanism for ensuring that all of this equipment gets to the front lines. Ukraine is a notoriously corrupt country. In fact, they just underwent a shakeup because of corruption scandals in their military. And so the problem could be that a lot of this equipment could fall into the hands of paramilitary actors even after the war, and then could spread all around Europe, all around the rest of the world. And in fact, we're seeing this in Africa. In West Africa, some West African leaders are saying that we have received weapons from you, or we have seen weapons from the U.S. shipments to Ukraine appear in our country in the hands of terrorists, in the hands of paramilitary groups. So this is just a classic example of U.S. blowback. But this could bite us in the behind if we're not serious about any oversight, if we're not serious about finding peace as soon as possible, if we're not serious about confronting the actual neo-Nazi paramilitaries on the ground.
We're talking with Bryce Green. Fairness and accuracy in reporting. There are a lot of myths going on out here just about what is happening in this war as we give them money all the time. Just we've given them tens of billions of dollars. I think certainly several months ago, it was more than $67 billion, but it's much more than that. And let me just answer you, Matt. I just sent you a text. You said, have you had Malcolm Nance on the program? Many times. The last time I spoke with him, though, he was on his way to Ukraine to fight. In the last photograph I saw of him, he was in military gear, helmet on, all of that. And he was in Ukraine fighting. And I thought about him this morning, and I certainly am praying for him. I'll reach out to him and see if he's back. I will have him on. I just want to, Matt, I just want to know the truth. I want to know the truth. And just coming out of the civil rights movement, just so that you know, I'm not a skeptic, but I am someone, you could call me skeptical. Before, when everyone was celebrating J. Edgar Hoover, my family knew who he was. Dr. King's family, Malcolm X's family. I mean, that's my group. We knew who he was, because he was harassing us and the people we worked with. And many people we knew were just popping up dead, or they were getting killed. When Fred Hampton was killed, the lie that the media perpetuated, Matt, was that he and Mark Clark, his bodyguard, were engaged in a shootout with the police. But thanks be to God, his lawyer, G. Flint Taylor, went to the apartment the next day, and all of the bullets were facing inward. And they had to fight to have the press tell the truth. Indeed, it was the police who shot their way into his home. They shot Fred Hampton multiple times, scores of times, and he did not die. They dragged him out of the bed as his 8.5-month pregnant fiance ran out in the snow in her pajamas, trying to save her life. And when they saw that he was living, they stood over him laughing as he pleaded for help. And the police from the Red Squad shot and killed him. And this same Red Squad was sent to kill my father in the person of someone who was very, very close to us. So pardon me when I ask questions. That is just how I was raised, and it's been my experience. And I think you need to ask questions too, because we need to know what's going on. If you want to talk about peace, you will have a hard time in social media. Either you're getting trolled by people or you're getting booted off of social media. That happened to Norman Solomon, one of the most esteemed Bryce progressives over the past 50 years. He started talking about peace. They blocked his article and they blocked him from Facebook. I'm like, what's going on here? And how is it that everyone, the United States Congress, the New York Times, all of these institutions acknowledged these folks as Nazis? When you look at their symbols, it's very clear they are Nazi inspired, and yet they're heroes. I can't pull for someone who pulls for Hitler. I can't do it. So you gotta help me with this one. You got that. Help me with this one, because something is not right here. And then, one of these days we got to talk about the Nord Stream pipeline, because Seymour Hersh, has written about how America took out the Nord Stream pipeline. I just feel like I don't know if we're being dealt with honestly, and that is what. Oh, you're very welcome, Matt. Matt thanks me for speaking about this, but because I've been unafraid to talk to Malcolm Nance, Matt, and Bryce, because my dog in the hunt is truth. My dog in the hunt is peace. That's where I am. That's it. That's it. And that's why I bring this young man on, because I think that Bryce Green is courageous. He is a researcher. He is looking at the facts. And he is saying, this is what I'm finding. And when you're scientific about something, you just input the information and whatever comes out, that's what comes out. Bryce, the last 2 minutes belong to you.
Like I said earlier, the importance of the information war, as U.S. officials call it, is paramount in this war. You have to be able to manage the perceptions of the population to make sure that they see the world in the way that you want them to see it. And our news media is an important part of that entire machinery. And the way that they portray things like the Nord Stream pipeline, the way that they portray things like the ADOC battalion, it matters. It matters because that's how people understand the world. And if they distort things, well, then people are really getting a false view of things. People are getting, shadows in Plato's cave. And it's only through alternative media that we can actually get a clearer picture of the world, and then we can advocate for the policies that we need, and we can advocate against the policies that we hate and that we disagree with. And in this case, I disagree, and I think your viewers should as well, with the U.S. policy of escalating the war in Ukraine, with the U.S. policy of sending billions of dollars of weapons, and with the policy of a refusal to negotiate. That's dangerous. Americans need to give peace a chance, and we can't do that if we don't know what's going on.
Amen. All we are saying is give peace a chance. If you want to break out into that song by John Lennon, that's fine with me. But that, I promise you, peace needs to have a dividend, everybody. We can't just go around building military installations in most of the world while the country is crumbling. The American Society of Civil Engineers gives us a C or a D. We have bridges that are falling, but we're building bridges in other countries. Are you serious? We have a public school system that we can barely get funded. We have kids who need computers. We need the internet to be a public utility. And on and on and on and on. But everything is privatized in America. Everything has some cost attached to it. And we are starving, literally. not just for information, but for food. But the only part of government that gets a chance to keep their money and get more money without even asking for it is the Pentagon. And they call them the Department of Defense. What are they defending? They're not defending you. They're defending American corporations. All you need to do is go to Kabul and go to these cities around the world. That is what they're doing. And that ought to bother you. Everybody check out Bryce Green. I've got to go to Hootsuite because I was trying to tweet all this stuff out, and Hootsuite's telling me everything's failing to send. We got Ro Khanna coming up, Congressman Ro Khanna. Will he run for president? Will he run for the U.S. Senate? Will he do both? I don't know. Can't wait to ask him. Back in just a minute on the Santita Jackson Show. Bryce, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mark, for telling me that Malcolm Nance will be on Bill Maher's show tonight. Hey, Eric. And, I will check it out. That having been said, I pretty much know what he's going to say, but I will watch. And I'm glad to know that he's doing well, because I thought about it. I said, God knows, I know we would have heard something, but when he said he was going to Ukraine, I got a little, I was nervous for him because he's so public. And he's not someone who's anonymous. And that concerned me because whether I agree or disagree with Malcolm, I think he's a wonderful, wonderful human being. And I believe that he wants what is best for this country, even though I disagree with him on how we need to get there. I still want him to be safe. I want him to be safe. He is my friend and I love him. And so, all right, everybody, Bryce Green.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sending you so much love. I think, I think the world of you. We got to come back and talk about this Nord Stream pipeline.
Absolutely. And if you get a chance, you can ask Ro about it.
I will, because he's been quite, But first I got to ask him about the U.S. Senate and the presidency. And he's about to go to Taiwan and China. And we're watching Indian Americans take very prominent roles in Congress, which is a wonderful thing to see. It just, I want to get there, but I will. There's so much to ask. There's
Ro's special here because he was the only member of the squad who actually stood by that letter calling for peace.
Oh, I know. I know. And so I'm going to ask him about that. I just want to ask him about these things first, but yeah. And he took a lot of heat for it. Took a lot of heat for it. I was like, for calling for peace, when did we become hawks? What is up with that? I don't get it. I get it, but I think that blue, no matter who, I think is immature. It's crazy. The thing is, your politics need to be based in principle, period. And I think we'll have to grow up in our politics, and I'm not for sending anybody's child off to war, but increasingly we play war as a video game. So you sit in a room and you just shoot people up. Are you crazy? The moral injury is incalculable. We've had Matthew Ho on this show countless times talking about that. It's something he struggles with every day. And we see that with our veterans. They struggle with moral injury. It almost drives them completely nuts. Taking someone's life is serious business, everybody. And if it doesn't bother you, you have to shut a part of you off. You have to kill a part of yourself in order for that to happen. That has to stop. It has to stop. We have to go another way. We have to go the right way. My grandmother, Gertrude, God rest her soul, she said, Santita, be clear. There's one way, the right way. That's it. So. Enough of me. I just keep on going, Bryce. Shoot.
That's why I love
you. No, I know you're like, she's a nut, but I love her. I love her, but I do. I'm like, come on, you guys. Come on, let's get with the program here. Get with it. Thank you, sweetie. Can't wait to have you back. Let me know when you're coming back to Chicago.
Oh, definitely.
You need to come back real soon. Hello. Thank you. Have fun with him. Okay. And yes, he called me one day and he said, I'm going to be in Chicago tomorrow. And I was so happy. was so happy that he was in Chicago. Lovely young man, such ah, and so well raised, even if I say so myself. Just a wonderful, wonderful young guy. I keep moving my ponytail around. Everybody, hair on my neck, and that's probably why I've never really worn my hair down a lot. It drives me crazy. Now, mind you, this wool doesn't, but the hair, my hair on my neck, makes me go, oh. That's what my mother would say. Just pull it up. It would drive her crazy when when I take the time to blow out my hair or go get it done, and I'd feel it, and I'm like, oh, I felt like I was being tickled. I know that sounds crazy, but everybody's got their thing. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm wearing my hair down these days, kind of, sort of. So, but I am so glad that Congressman Connor is going to be with us. I'm so glad, and he's been a wonderful mentor to my brother, Congressman Jonathan Jackson, and I just think the world of him. Got a chance to really spend some time with him in South Carolina, during the 2020 campaign. I was so impressed with him, and we just connected, and I just think that he's a wonderful, wonderful person. So I'm really excited that he's going to be with us today. And I am going to do this. I'm going to have Bryce back on next week.
Miss Jackson, will the congressman be calling in?
You know what? Call Mrs. Wells very quickly and ask, because he should be. If not, please ask her. Yes, just ask her if we need to call him.
We have about 1 minute.
Okay, I can call her, but I'm not able to loop anyone in. Try and call him. Okay? You try and call him.
Okay, I called him and I did not get an answer.
Okay, can you call Miss Wells? Can we add a minute? I wish I could call her right now. Let me see if I can call her. Okay, let me do this. I'm calling her right now. Okay, I tried to call her. Can you try him again, please? Hello? All right. Hello, hello. Okay. Hello? Hello, hello? Okay. Hello?
Hi, I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything at all.
I was calling your name.
Yeah, I didn't, I heard, okay, so I know I'm up now. Do we have the congressman?
We don't have the congressman. Chappelle is going to call him. I told her to text me.
Okay, thanks, no, Leslie, just bring me up, because everybody's just
Okay,
wondering what's going
so
on.
your caller, Pam. Okay, I'm going to bring you up.
Thanks.
Okay.
Hey, everybody.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We have about 40 seconds for the
Okay.
medical commercial.
Thanks so much. Mm. Got to get this up on my Mac. Okay, she's trying to get him on now. His assistant.
Okay, we're about to come up.
Okay, thanks. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show, WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station, and AM 950 radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. And on YouTube, the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel, and Santita Jackson and Friends over on Facebook. If you want to hear the show without the commercials, go to WCPT820.com/Santita and call us at 773-763-9278. 773-763-WCPT. I want to talk with you today. We're trying to get Congressman Ro Khanna up, but we also have another issue that we want to look at. Tyree Nichols. Yeah, the reason I bring him up is because it really is almost like a textbook case of police corruption. You know, there were rumors that the pictures of the dying Tyree Nichols had been taken on a police officer's camera and had been forwarded to people, namely an ex-girlfriend. Well, actually, I don't know if it was an ex-girlfriend, but certainly 5 people received the texts. So we got to talk about that. In just a few minutes. But I'm hoping that we'll be able to get Congressman Khanna on today, because we do want to talk with him about various things. He might be running for president. He might be running for the U.S. Senate. He might be doing a lot of things, but he is working in a sharply divided Congress. And so I want to know how he's going to do that. So call me at 773-763-9278. I don't know if Pam is still there, but if she is, I promise you I will get right to you. 773-763-9278. Let's get to a few of these headlines. In Chicago, we're going to have a high of 37 degrees, partly cloudy. Minneapolis, 29 degrees and completely sunny. Congratulations are in order to Patrick Mahomes. He is the NFL MVP, the second runner-up, none other than Jalen Hurts. What a tremendous moment it will be to see Kansas City and Philadelphia face off, not only because they're great teams, but because for the first time you're going to have 2 black quarterbacks facing off against each other in the Super Bowl. In the history of the 57 years of this championship of professional football, American professional football, this has never happened before. And these gentlemen are mindful of this moment, and we are just very proud of them because they are also just great guys, right? They're just really, really nice guys who give so much of the credit for them becoming the wonderful men that they are to their dads, who were ever present in their lives, and Black fathers who love their children, who are with them. That is not something that is rare. It is something that is commonplace. And I'm so glad to see that. But I think it's going to be a great game. Plus, Rihanna hasn't performed in public in 7 years, and she's going to perform. So that's going to be very interesting. Everybody, it ought to be great. In the NBA, the Nets 116, the Bulls 105, and the Timberwolves will be facing off against the Grizzlies tonight. And in the NHL, you have got the Coyotes that will be playing Chicago, and the Golden Knights, well, they were triumphant over the Wild, 5-1. Whew, everybody. What a time, what a time. As the air raid siren sounded across the Ukraine this morning, officials warned of widespread Russian missile attacks. Explosions were reported in the Ukrainian-held city, a couple of cities, and we want to know when there will be peace, everybody. You hate to see those people dealing with so much trauma, so much trauma. The death toll in Turkey and Syria after this incredible 7.8 earthquake surpassed 21,000 people, with thousands upon thousands more who are missing. This is now one of the top 10 deadliest quakes in the world over the past 20 years. Former Vice President Mike Pence has been subpoenaed by the special counsel investigating Donald Trump and his role on the January 6th, 2021 insurrection at the Capitol, everybody. And the CDC has added COVID-19 shots to the list of recommended routine vaccines for children and adults. This means that the COVID-19 vaccine is now presented as any other routinely recommended vaccine and is no longer presented in a special call-out box as in previous years. Indeed, the move will help quote, to normalize the vaccine. Indeed, now it is recommended, not required. So what do you think about that, everybody? Let's talk about this. And, I think Congressman Khanna hasn't had another emergency. Oh boy, I can't wait to get him at some point. Maybe we'll get him today. But if not, I want to know, what did you think of what you heard from Bryce Green? What did you think about the normalization of the Azov Battalion? What do you think about the Chicago mayoral race? In fact, Rainbow Push will be having a mayoral forum tomorrow starting at 10 o'clock at the New Beginnings Church. Pastor Corey Brooks, the rooftop pastor, will be our host. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be doing this with ABC, and one of our hosts will be one of the great reporters from Fox 32 here in Chicago, but also on March 16th, if we have a runoff, and it seems increasingly likely that we will be hosting another mayoral forum on March 16th with ABC. I cannot wait for that. But in the meantime, at least I think everyone but Mayor Lightfoot will be at this mayoral forum tomorrow. So you don't want to miss it. It's going to be really, really exciting. It's the People's Forum. We're going to be asking questions that you want to ask, questions that the corporate media might just overlook. So I want you to call me at 773-763-9278. We have Jewel from New York. Jewel, what's on your mind, sweetie?
She's not on.
Oh, she's not? Okay, she said she wanted to call, but she's just saying she's sorry. Okay, all right, everybody. Call me at 773-763-9278. Pam, are you going to be coming to the mayoral election, to the mayoral forum tomorrow at New Beginnings at 67th and Cottage Grove?
Santita, I believe I am. I know I was going to do some political work, but I haven't been able to really attend any forum. So I'm very interested in making that forum. Santita, I want to make a comment about the mayoral race, but also when you had Mr. Green on, I would be really interested in hearing a civil discussion and I guess discourse, not necessarily a debate, between Mr. Green and Mr. Nance. And because there are probably some things that I question that I don't know, maybe some things I need to know. I don't know how to formulate the right question, but they seem to be on, I don't know if I want to say opposite sides of the issue, but they have different points of view.
They are. They have different. They have completely different points of view. Well, you know, before you get into the mayoral race, they do have very different points of view. And my views, you know, actually hew more closely to Bryce Green's because I think they're more truthful. We have not been honest about how we got into this issue in Ukraine. I want you to pull out a map, and I'll try and post it, of all of the military installations surrounding Russia now. That was not the agreement that we set up with them when we united Germany. Because, you know, you and I grew up under East Germany and West Germany, right? Communist Germany and so-called free Germany, whatever that's supposed to mean. And when they were reunited, America cut a deal with Russia and said, okay, NATO will not expand into eastward. We're going to stay right where we are. And we promptly started expanding. That's a threat to their territorial integrity. We would not allow missiles 90 miles from our own coast. We would never allow Mexico to line up missiles and hostile forces on our border. And we certainly wouldn't allow that with Canada. And so I don't understand why we can't see that. And when I love Malcolm Nance, but you know, he also, you know, I'm not an imperialist. I don't support imperialism. I don't support empire. I just don't. We came over here on an imperial project. I don't support it. I do not. I don't. And what I want to do is look at the facts, Pam. Let's just look at the facts. Let's just deal with what happened, the deal that was cut, the deal that was breached. And why can't we talk about peace? Why is that almost illegal in social media? When is this going to end?
Well, that's another question. Oh, but that's a question I have also. Can peace be on the table? Can peace be on the table when Putin has already, I guess, invaded or annexed other areas? Can peace still be negotiated?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, well, let me tell you, America was the one that was telling Ukraine, was the country telling Ukraine, don't negotiate with him. How are you going to do that? Even Kissinger, who is nobody's peacenik, said you are not going to shoot your way out of war. And you know who else said that? President Zelensky. Everybody knows you have to negotiate your way out of war. And President De Silva.
Negotiations began.
That's where they began. And you know, but we have pushed up against it because you know now our European allies are calling us war profiteers. Because you got to see who's making the money off the war. Always follow the money, Pam. Always follow the money. That is how we make money. We make money off of war. We don't even try to make money off of peace. And I think it's shameful. Now, I'm not going to back up off of that. I'll add more to it before I take anything away. I'm from the Dr. King, Reverend Jackson school, okay? Andrew Young. I believe in peace. And I'm going to stay right there on that.
It has to be. It has to be.
Well, that's where I am, girl.
That's all right. No problems with that. No problems with that. I appreciate that.
You know, and don't talk to me about other people who do war when we do it better than anyone else, and that's all we do. And then you wonder about the bombs that we drop overseas. Dr. King said the bombs we drop in other countries would explode at home. Have we not become so violent? I mean, look at all the shootings at our schools with our children on the streets and our homes. You've got a prominent lawyer from South Carolina. It is alleged that he killed his family. Who does that? All you have to do is read the Daily Mail. People do that all the time in the United States. I'm like, are you for real? And it's not just because you have guns. You can kill someone with your hands. No. Stop it. Now, I want peace. And I want us to put profit in peace and stop putting profit in war. Period. Stop it.
Well, okay. I think we have to put all the facts on the table. I think we really do. And so that's why I'm just saying I'm trying to hear all points of views, but I don't want any distortion. But there are things that I'm really not aware of, Santita. So that's why I am listening, I'm reading, I am following up with research.
Well, that's right. That's why I present that point of view, because you're not going to hear it. Well, you're not going to hear what Medea Benjamin, Ray McGovern, Seymour Hirsch, what all of these people who find out other information, you're not going to hear them in corporate media because the corporations make money off of the war. Remember, Phil Donahue had the #1 show on MSNBC, and they pulled him off the air because he was talking about peace when we were about to invade Iraq. Remember that? So, but Pam, you wanted to make a comment about the mayoral race. So go on.
Yes, I wanted to, at the City Club specifically, we heard what many of the candidates said. And I just want to say thank you to Brandon Johnson, because he went before all those, I'm going to say millionaires, billionaires, and well-to-do. And he said to them, we are in a tale of two cities. Mm-hmm. And I didn't hear his full comment, but at least he addressed that issue. And I was waiting for some candidate to make that statement, to talk about the racism and the divide that still exists in Chicago. And some of them are feeding on that and trying to perpetuate it, and others want to deal with it. So I thank candidate Brandon Johnson for that. And let me be clear, that is who I support.
Well, all right, amen to that. Well, he'll be there tomorrow.
I know, and that's why I'll be trying to do some political work for. So wherever I'm needed,
Pam, are you there?
She dropped.
Oh my goodness, she dropped. Darn it, because I didn't drop Pam. But you said Chaparral called in, board operator? Because, okay, Chaparral, I got a couple of minutes before we go to break. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about this mayoral race. Because, Santita, it's two pressing questions. One for me personally that have not been answered. The Intercept actually published an article last weekend about the fact that the mayor's office is not being transparent currently with some of the Inspector General reports. For my case in specific, for the Court Decoder, they refused to release the full IG report, as well as also Anjanette Young. And both of these cases are high-profile cases, and they have withheld the internal general's recommendations as well as the full report. So one of the questions that I think that should be asked from the mayoral candidates is, are they willing to automatically release the full IG report?
Okay, hold on one second. Are you on an earpiece?
No, I'm on speaker though. You make it go off.
Yep, absolutely. So we can hear you. So we can hear you completely.
I'm sorry. And so basically, Santita, with the IG report that they're withholding, it basically gives information about the cases in general, why was the box raised for Anjanette Young, what happened, who was involved. Same with Courtney's case, it gives all that information as well. And so I think the public should be made aware of what's happening in the city, and that's an important question for the mayor. And also, how can we have a sanctuary city for the immigrants, but we have a massive homeless population? And so they have taken over, I think, a Wadsworth school for the immigrants. And we have a homeless population right here on Kedzie in Chicago Avenue who are living in tents.
But you know what?
Illegal immigrants in our building.
But you know what? Oh, I do. The thing is, we're playing games. The fact is, there are millions upon millions of empty apartments in the United States. This is a false choice. The thing is, we can house everybody if we had a mind to do so. So let's just absolutely understand that. Just understand that we can house everybody. Thank you, Stanley, for correcting me. New Beginnings is on King Drive. Is it really? Okay. 66 and King Drive. So everybody, please be there tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Get there just before, because we're going to begin the debate promptly, the discussion promptly at 10 o'clock. But the thing is, we can take care of the homeless, and we can take care of the people who are coming to the United States. We can do both. And let's be very clear. They're being shoved into the United States, not because they want to be here, but we've wreaked so much havoc in their homes, they have no choice but to get out of there. Not to mention the fact that we are looking to put them to work for nothing. Think about that, Chaparral. We now have a whole new group of people who can come here and work for nothing or for little or nothing. Because that's what this is about. You know, America has never gotten over that disease, you know, to have unpaid or poorly paid workers make a few people wealthy. We got to stop that. And we have to stop blaming these workers like we blame Black people for the problems of the oligarchy. Stop it. If we wanted to house people, we would do that. And we could house everybody. Let's talk about Tyree Nichols in just a few minutes on the Santita Jackson Show. I'm sick of that, Chaparral. I mean, because it's a false choice.
I know.
It's a false choice. The fact is,
because and like you have a large homeless population in Chicago, and you don't even make provisions for them for the winter. I mean, if nothing else, at least for the winter. You know what I'm saying?
But anybody's doing that.
And I'm like, you can put them in some place that's warm, just like you open up the school for these people. I'm not saying that the immigrants don't need it, because I totally understand that, but you can't do one without the other. Is my point.
Look, let me give you this. There are, you know, I had to look it up because I knew it was like 15 million, but there are more than 16 million vacant housing units in the United States. 5.8% of rental units are vacant. 1.4% of homeowner units are vacant. A 314% difference. If we wanted to house people, if we wanted to build up some yurts and places like that where we could house people and have people live decently, we could do that. We could. But we have chosen not to do that. You know, TJ, why don't you call in? You don't have to just type. Talk to me. We can engage. I'm not blaming genocide on you. Look, the thing is, everyone knows that the government in Ukraine has issues with honesty and transparency. They are known as being one of those corrupt governments on earth. That is a fact too. NATO expansion, even President Eisenhower said when NATO was created that it was supposed to be a 10-year project, and that if it existed after 10 years, that the NATO failed in its mission. I'm just telling you what President Eisenhower, General Eisenhower said. America's business should not be war, and I'm not going to back up off of that. You know, I mean, and you can remind me about Poland. I'm real clear on the stuff. A lot of all the money's in war, and it shouldn't be. And you can talk to me about the Second World War. The last in-person conversation I had with my grandfather, who was a veteran of that war, was about the Second World War. And all the years I'd known him, 15 years, he never ever talked about his war experience. It was so painful for him. And my granddaddy told me, you never want war. Never. And he was a veteran. Unlike most people here, he had to pick up a gun. He had to shoot. And as a Black soldier, he was put at the back of the line. And they sent the Black soldiers into Auschwitz and Buchenwald, because you know what? The survivors would have thought that the white soldiers were Nazis, not to mention the fact that they were laden with landmines, and they waited for the Black soldiers to get blown up, and then they went in. Don't talk to me about war. Don't you dare talk to me about war. My grandfather died at 59 of a broken heart. Not a purple heart, a broken one, because he had to come back home. And when he got to Washington, after taking the train from New York, he had to go get on the car for the colored people. While the Nazi POWs went and took his seat. Don't talk to me. Don't you talk to me about war while we're lifting up the Azov Battalion, who are full-on Nazis. I don't want to hear it. Tell somebody else. You talk to someone who's not armed with some information. I've got some information. And I look at it from a whole lot of sides. Yes?
We have about 25 seconds.
Okay.
We have Congressman Khanna on, and we will be calling Keegan Franklin in about 10 minutes. He'll be available.
Okay, Congressman, how you doing? You heard me going off right now. Can you bring?
Could you send me a different number for Joseph Kyles as well?
Yeah, but I'm going to have to keep the congressman on as long as I can keep him. So let me find out how long. Let me speak with him right now, because I need to find out how long he can be on. Okay.
Are you okay to go on right now?
Yeah, I can. How do you know how long he can be on?
He said for the rest of the time.
Okay, well then let me. I have to give him the balance of the time. Okay. Hey, everybody. Okay, hey, everybody. We do have Congressman Khanna. I'm so glad that he's with us today. But before I get to him, I want you to know that if you're selling your home, or if you're purchasing a new home and would like to save thousands of dollars, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Team Hochberg is offering everyone a Perks at Work program, and through the end of April. And through that program, you will save thousands upon thousands of dollars. Let me tell you how it's going to work. When a Team Hochberg affiliated realtor sells your home, they'll reduce their fee up to 1%. When a Team Hochberg affiliated realtor helps you to purchase a home, you will receive up to 1% of their commission as a closing cost credit. That's thousands of dollars. And Team Hochberg will credit their loan origination fee, and their affiliated attorney will reduce their fee. Thousands of dollars, everybody. A couple saves close to $9,000 in using this Perks at Work program, and it could be you. So I want you to reach out to Team Hochberg at 855-56-DAVID, 855-56-DAVID, or visit them at 56david.com so that you can save your money. You know what we're going to be talking about? Tyree Nichols. We're going to do that on Monday, because we were finally able to get Congressman Khanna. I know he's very busy, but he's had a whole lot going on, and I'm so glad that he's with us today. Congressman Ro Khanna, how are you?
And you know how much I love you, and I love your family. Love your brother, who's off to an amazing start down at the Jackson, taking Congress by storm, and excited about being on.
Well, thank you for being his mentor. It means so much to him to have you guiding him through Congress. I mean, I was just talking with him about that just a couple of days ago. He said, my colleague has really helped me to understand this place, because it's a different thing to get in the Congress.
He's already emerging as a major voice on so many key issues of civil rights, voting rights, economic justice, and we're going to be soon traveling together to some of the countries overseas and standing up for human rights. So he's just such a great addition to the Congress, and it's great partnering with him.
Well, so are you. And I have to tell you, I have been so excited to watch your emergence, as well as the emergence of other Indian Americans who are being put in charge of committees, subcommittees. This is a very, very exciting time. And to see you hew so closely to progressive principles, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. I have to get right to this, because I just, I'm so excited to be able to talk with you this morning. There's a lot of speculation about Senator Dianne Feinstein and who might take her seat. And then there's speculation about election 2024. You're one of my favorite people on earth. I can't not say that. Are you considering running for the U.S. Senate? It would be so wonderful to see you there, because you can always run for president. I mean, that's a great thing. But are you considering running for president? I mean, what's the plan?
You know how much I love you. I'll tell you where I am about. On the Senate race, one of my closest friends, someone who I've long admired, is Barbara Lee, and we're neighbors. And what I said is, if she gets in and puts together a strong campaign, then I'm going to be for her, and she's looking at putting it together.
Okay.
And if she doesn't, for some reason, then we'll take this strong look at it. But I think it's important for someone from Northern California we're both from a strong progressive to win, and she's really been a genuine mentor and someone I admire. So that's where I'm there. But I continue to have an incredible district in Silicon Valley, and as you know, I've been going around the country trying to create jobs in HBCUs.
Yes.
We're doing something at Betty College on April 14th. I've been pushing for manufacturing, and I'm happy with the work I'm doing, and we'll continue to build.
Well, because indeed you have paid special attention to historically Black colleges and universities, really helping Silicon Valley to look at these historically Black colleges and universities for the tremendous talent that is there. Just very quickly, why did you want to direct the attention of Silicon Valley to HBCUs?
Well, Santita, it's not charity and it's not philanthropy. It's what you said. There's incredible talent there. There's incredible ambition there. There's incredible energy there. But people are disconnected from the opportunities. When I taught at Stanford, my students and guys would get funding before they had an idea. And I was visiting some of these HBCUs down at Benedict and Claflin. And, what I found so sad is you saw the talent, the energy, the vision, but the doors were not open. And there's a disconnect. And we created this program with Google at Benedict, with Zoom at Claflin, doing something up in Mercy College, up in New York, and a number of other HBCUs, Jackson State and Mississippi. And it's a win-win. The students are getting $65,000, $70,000 jobs. They get a $5,000 stipend to participate. And these tech companies are getting extraordinary talent. So we've got to just scale this. And I think we should have a goal of 1 million digital jobs for Black and Brown Americans by 2025 if we can scale the program.
Everybody's doing great work at HBCUs. To pivot, increasingly Americans are looking at a lot of issues overseas, And you are about to go to Asia, specifically to Taiwan. Why Asia? Why now? What do you hope to accomplish on this visit?
Well, you're breaking some news here. I guess it was been with
Bloomberg.
But what I said is I'm on the China Select Committee, and a really good delegation with China to Taiwan. I mean, obviously we have to have a strong relationship with Taiwan. We get so much of our semiconductor chips there. This isn't just a tech issue. I mean, your car has semiconductor chips, or the phones we're talking about having. And so we need to build that relationship, make sure that there's sufficient deterrence, so there's no invasion. But I have said that I am also going to go to China this year because I don't think that we need a Cold War with China. I think we have to be very clear that we want to bring our jobs back. We've got to have industry here, not export our jobs. But, I come, as you know, from the tradition of Gandhi. My grandfather spent 4 years in jail with Gandhi in the 1940s, and I don't want the 21st century to just evolve into a Cold War with China. I think we also have to have engagement. So I may be, and maybe your brother will take it up going on a second trip with me, and I maybe want to do members of Congress who goes to Taiwan and then also goes to China.
We're talking with Congressman Ro Khanna about the Senate. We're talking about the presidency. We're talking about really looking at having peace and normalizing, as you would say, rebalancing these relations. When you talk about rebalancing the relations with China, with Asia, what do you mean?
I mean, look, this is something that your father, Bob Dawson, started out in the 1980s. When Wall Street and corporate greed were shipping off our jobs. They were shipping off our jobs. And by the way, it happened first to Black America, and no one really cared other than people like William Julius Slocum, who talked about jobs leaving places like Chicago, like Philadelphia, our manufacturing base being hollowed out. And some people like your father, Jesse Jackson, warned about that. And you can't, for corporate greed, for Wall Street profit, sell all our production off to the cheapest labor to places. centers. But for 30 years we watched, and it happened. And now we have one of the biggest trade deficits with China. We've got to bring that industry, the steel, the aluminum, the semiconductors, the textiles, back. We're going to invest in these jobs in the United States, and we can with technology. So when I'm talking about rebalancing, I'm saying that China has to be fair, that they need to be buying stuff from us. If we're buying stuff from them, we've got to lower the trade deficit. That doesn't mean that we rush to have a war there over Taiwan. And I think the statesmanship and diplomacy is balancing the two. We have to figure out how we get the economic conditions right without rushing to war.
We're talking with Congressman Ro Khanna about, I think, a sane way of approaching our international policy. I think we have to go beyond calling it foreign policy. Congressman Khanna calling it international policy, because foreign, apply. You know what I mean? It's not other. These are really our brothers and sisters overseas. And I think that if we changed our language, I think a lot of things would change. And that's why I was struck by the fact that you said, wait a minute, you were talking balance. You were talking like someone whose grandfather worked with Gandhi. You were not talking like someone who was pushing for war. I mean, talk to me about, well, then do you think that Secretary Blinken, do you think that we moved too fast not to have this engagement with China behind this debacle about the balloon that was shot out of the sky from China?
I think two things. One, I think the president acted responsibly in how he handled the balloon incident, which is we shot it down as we should. We shouldn't have an alleged spy balloon traversing the United States and not be consequences. Including Republicans to say, oh, he should have shot it down over the continental United States, but he wanted to shoot it down over Lake Michigan or over on Michigan Avenue in Chicago. Come on. I mean, he shot it down when he wasn't going to hurt people, and when he wasn't going to risk civilian lives. But we've got to make it clear to the Chinese that they can't be sending balloons across American airspace. But that doesn't mean we stop talking to them. I mean, even at the height of the Cold War, we were talking to the Russians, and I don't want a Cold War with China. So I do think it's fine for a cooling off period, but I think that Blinken eventually should go to China, and we have to engage. Santita, wouldn't it be such a tragedy in the 21st century if all we can do is replicate the paradigm of the 20th century, and if we end up having a Cold War between two powers, do you think, couldn't humanity do better than that? I mean, that's what leadership is all about. And so, yes, we've got to make sure we're fair on the economics. They can't be taking our IP. They've got to be buying from us. They can't be taking all our jobs and production. So we also have to have diplomacy on climate change, on arms control, on making sure we don't rush to war.
I hear a through line with you that moves us to peace, that moves us to engagement. By going to Taiwan, by going to China, seeking to balance, looking at an international policy, not a foreign one, saying, wait a minute, let's behave responsibly. This balloon, shooting it out the sky. There was, what do you want? You want all the debris to fall on people? I mean, it's crazy. But I also see you talking about, I've seen you're a member of the squad. Your politics, I love them. They're just very, very progressive. But you've been willing to step out and without stepping on people. And particularly when we talk about peace. And you've taken some heat from some quarters. You've been cheered by others when you have talked about peace with respect to, as we look at Ukraine. I mean, it's like the war that just keeps on giving. It's like, when will this end? Even Henry Kissinger, no one's peacenik, is saying we've got to negotiate our way out of this. There's got to be an end here. And I want to know what your thinking is about that at this time, and just why it is that you push toward engagement, and what are the benefits of peace, Congressman Khanna?
Well, I'm sure, as we talked before, Santita, my philosophy is based on how I was raised and my grandfather's legacy. But here's But I have said, I mean, obviously Putin is clearly in the wrong, and it was an unprovoked war. It's a brutal war. It's an inhumane war. We have to stand up against a country that is violating the territorial sovereignty of another nation. Or if we didn't do that, all rules-based international order is threatened. And other countries would say, okay, we can just go gobble up Taiwan, or we can gobble up a small country. So we were right to stand with Ukraine. We're right to be providing Ukraine with arms that I have voted for and will continue to vote for. But the Ukrainians are succeeding. I mean, people thought Kiev would fall in 3 days. The whole military thought that. People thought that Russia would be able to just march in. Russia has failed. The Ukrainians are winning. The Ukrainians have figured out how to stand up for their own sovereignty, and they're winning in part because of the United States assistance and President Biden's leadership and Blinken's leadership with NATO. Now the question is, okay, how do we land the plane? Do you want just thousands of civilians dying indefinitely? Because the Russians will be doing this for years. They don't have any regard for human life. They just look at how they won World War II. I mean, they'll just keep putting people on the battlefield. And all I have said is that while we support Ukraine, we have to keep the lines of communication open with Russia, that we have to make sure that we're involving third parties to have a just negotiated settlement at some point. Now, you're right, I got attached to that. And I said, what is the alternative? Is the alternative just to have a perpetual war and civilians die? Or is there some way to land this plane? I actually think President Biden and his administration fortunately are keeping those lines of communication open.
Let's talking about keeping the lines of communication open. What about this sharply divided Congress that you're in? How do you plan to? I mean, is your goal to walk and work across the aisle? I mean, how is this going to work? I mean, your speaker is a vote away from being put out of office. I mean, how is this supposed to work?
Well, I think we've got to find ways to find some common ground on issues where we can. Bringing manufacturing back, figuring out how we prepare for AI and cybersecurity, figuring out what it's going to take to have better vocational education for people who don't go to college, apprenticeship. But, it's a very extreme time there. So they're talking, as the president pointed out, about cutting benefits, cutting Social Security or Medicare. They are defaulting of the debt, taking away our right to choose whether it's poverty or autonomy. So it's an extreme moment, and a lot of the Congress is going to have to be defensive as well, standing up for our values.
Do you see any Republicans who might move in the Democratic direction, or just move in the direction of not having America go into default? I mean, let's back up, Mr. University of Chicago graduate. What would happen if America goes into default? Why don't you tell us that first?
Well, it's very simple. It's like if you kept accumulating credit card bills, you'll get buying stuff, and then you never pay for it. As a person, you'd have to declare bankruptcy. That's basically what the United States would be doing. We'd be saying we're not paying money we owe. And what would that do? Well, now you think more people are going to want to lend money to us, either in the United States or overseas? No. So interest rates would spike. And that would cause a massive recession and a massive deflation of the market. There would be an economic catastrophe. We basically be manufacturing the kind of recession we saw right before President Obama assumed office if we really defaulted. It's unthinkable. And I was confident that the president won't let us default. But I'm not confident in my Republican colleagues that they can require unilateral action, because you'll have 10, 15 Republicans saying the right thing, but so far at the end of the day, they stick with McCarthy. They all voted for McCarthy at the end of the day, even the moderates. They all voted to kick Ilhan Omar off the Foreign Affairs Committee, a totally unprincipled vote. Even the moderates, Ellen Ryan, that voted to kick her off just because she was had a perspective on human rights that they disagreed with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not holding my breath that the Republicans are going to see the light on this.
But that's a frightening prospect to go into default. Even to take us to the water's edge is very dangerous. I mean, we've got a lot of big issues that we're looking at. I mean, as you see them, what are will you be able to make any legislative headway this year and next year? Do you foresee that happening?
Well, I do foresee there being some legislative headway on privacy and on the internet. The reality is that some of these platforms, as you know, Santita, have been manipulating our kids, have been sending our kids awful information, and they need to be regulated. We can't have kids facing suicide, facing depression on social media platforms, and we need to have our privacy protected online. I've been pushing the internet bill. Like the president talked about at the State of the Union, and I'm hopeful that we will have progress there.
Well, what about, Elon Musk has taken a lot of heat for owning Twitter. And everybody's got their political perspective. He's, let's say he has been adventurous politically, or certainly he's been a questioner. Okay. But Matt Taibbi has been writing, what they call the Twitter files, really speaking to censorship. We're trying to figure out how to handle this behemoth called social media, called the internet. And what about censorship? I don't know any other way to put it. I mean, because it seems like some information gets out and other information gets held back. How is that keeping us free?
Well, I was part of the Twitter files, actually. They sent an email.
Yes.
They highlighted where I was emailing Twitter before Musk told saying you can't censor. You can't, you can't censor the New York Post. The New York Post has never written a kind article about me. Those are negative articles. But you can't censor it. But here's the thing, Santita, and it's important, I think, for your listeners to understand this. The censorship that's taking place is not just of conservative voices. A lot of voices on the left, a lot of progressive voices, a lot of people who question American foreign policy are also censored on those platforms. So what I said is, let's make sure that you are not censoring any viewpoint, whether that's the left or the right. But at the same time, don't conflate censorship with the prevention of hate speech or violence. I mean, yes, we don't want censorship, but at the same time, it's perfectly fair, perfectly appropriate to take down speech that is threatening violence against people or that is engaged in blatant racism. That's not speech. So that's not quality speech. And I think that's the balance we have to strike.
Well, that's a lot. Look, I said, that's my Congressman Khanna. He would be in the Twitter files because you've taken a principled position, which you do all the time. I've got less than a minute, and I want to give the balance of my time to you. Is there anything that's been left unsaid today, Congressman Khanna?
Well, I just think, Santita, that people I understand are being upset, they're frustrated and fearful for our country and the polarization. And I would just say two things. One, we've got to rebalance the economy for the working and middle class. Until 1980s, the working and middle class have lost 25% of wealth. We've got to bring our production back, bring our manufacturing back, and also make sure that we're supporting unions, that we're increasing wages, that we're getting child care universal health and Medicare for all, free public college to invest in our people. And then we've got to have a hopeful vision still about a democracy. I do believe we're going to become this multiracial democracy. And, every time I see your brother and other new members, I know that's the future. It's not what we're talking about now. We're going to have a very ugly 2024 election. It's going to be an election about the past. But eventually, this country will emerge and we'll take a multiracial democracy we're supposed to be.
Congressman Ro Khanna, everybody. Follow him. He's doing great things, and there are great things that await him in the future. I'll see you tomorrow, everybody, at the Rainbow Push Mayoral Forum. I cannot wait to see you at 10 o'clock at New Beginnings. Thank you, L. Stanley Davis. It's at 66th and King Drive, the New Beginnings Church. Pastor Corey Brooks is our host. Can't wait to see you there tomorrow at 10 o'clock. God bless you, everybody. Congressman Khanna, thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you, I've got to call my guest who I had to say, who I had to kind of let go. Ooh. But I had to, when the congressman called in, I had to take the call. So everybody, I love you. I can't wait to be with you tomorrow. Renee, I'm sorry we didn't get to you. I'm so sorry about that. But I was kind of up against the clock, but I love you so much. I will see you all tomorrow morning not at Rainbow Push, but at New Beginnings Church at 66th and King Drive. That's Pastor Corey Brooks Church. We're going to have a great time. And in fact, I've got to go to a rehearsal for this I've got to go to a rehearsal for the debate now. So I will see you. I'll see you tomorrow. I hope you all will come there. Try to get there before 10 o'clock, because it will. The seating will be limited, but we want you to be there. Stanley, I hope that you'll be there. I love you, everybody. I cannot. Oh, thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Laura. Thank you all. It's been wonderful. As you can see, I'm trying to get myself together so I can get out of here today. And I love you, love you, love you. I'll see you tomorrow. And then Sunday on Keep Hope Alive. And then. I love you, everybody. God bless.